Hello, thank you for clicking on the video. This is Everyman Fragrances. My name's Steve and I've got a burnt face. I think I'm getting away with it though because the lighting is kind of washing out my skin. So yeah, let's crack on. So I wanted to do this video because I was having a rummage through my drawers the other day. That's not a euphemism. I was doing that, but that was a different time. But anyway, I was rummaging through my belongings the other day and I found a fragrance that I totally forgot I owned. And you know what? This could be a bit of a hidden gem for summer, so I thought I'd stick on the camera and tell you about it. The fragrance I'm talking about is actually from a house called Rosa Salas. Now, some of you may remember them, I have spoken about them before, but they're actually a clone house or inspirations, dupes, whatever you want to call them, but they do have some original creations and this is one of them. I'm talking about So 1980s. Now, I do remember smelling this back when I got this. I've got this little kind of ditty at the sample. I don't know what this is. Is this like 10 mil? I guess this is 10 mil, I don't know. But anyway, I remember receiving this and smelling it and thinking, oh, that's sort of really interesting, a bit different, not smelled anything like it. And I spoke about it briefly on the Scent Geeks podcast, I think. And then after that, I never really did much with it. I never followed it up. I never did a video on it. And so I totally forgot I owned it. And I was sort of just clearing out some drawers in my office. And I assume I smelt it, and I probably smelt it again when I recorded the podcast. And then I sort of just put it in a drawer and forgot about it. So I stumbled across this, and you know what? It's really interesting. I think this could really work for the summer. Okay, so I should probably address the elephant in the room. The name, 1980s or So 1980s. Does this smell like a retro fragrance? Does it smell like a fougere barbershop sort of fragrance that era is traditionally known for? Does it smell retro? And the answer is yes and no. So it definitely is an homage to the 1980s, but to me, it doesn't smell like a traditional barbershop fougere type fragrance, but it definitely does have like a powderiness to it, which I'll talk about in a minute. So with that in mind, some regular viewers of this channel are probably wondering, does this smell like talky balls? And the non-regular viewers, or certainly if you're the first time watching this channel, you're probably thinking, what the fuck? Talky balls? Why would it smell like that? So this is a reference that I started ages ago on this channel, and it sort of stuck and I use it all the time now. It's become a go-to reference, and probably once a year I explain it just for the newer viewers. So basically, back when I started this channel, I remember smelling a fragrance that was very much like a fougere retro 1980s style fragrance that reminded me of my dad. It reminded me of, in particular, going into the bathroom after he'd showered, talked his balls and then slapped on some Brut or Old Spice or whatever. That's kind of what it reminded me of. So I jokingly said it reminds me of my dad's talky balls, and it completely stuck. People kind of got the reference, and now I use that as a go-to reference like it's normal, and it's not, but that's the reference. So I'll explain a little bit more what this fragrance does smell like, but this does not smell like talky balls to me. So before I tell you what I get from this fragrance, I'll give you some of the actual notes that are officially listed. In the opening, there's a lemon and incense. In the mids, there's amber, cedar, iris, and apricot. In the base, there's vanilla and oud. There's a few other things listed, but those are the ones that certainly sort of stand out as the more sort of prominent notes when you're looking through the official listing. So with those in mind, you're probably thinking, what the hell does this smell like? Because it could go either way. It could be kind of quite fresh or quite fruity, a bit powdery, or kind of be a bit sort of strong and overpowering with that sort of leather and oud in the base. You know, that could become all encompassing. And it's a really interesting fragrance. It's kind of a mix of all of them. Predominantly, this is quite a fresh, powdery fragrance, hence why I think this could be quite good for the summer. Particularly kind of, I wouldn't wear this in high heat, but certainly in sort of just cooler summer days or maybe summer evenings, this could work really well. I imagine this working really well on abroad on holiday in somewhere like Spain, but then going out in the evening for sort of drinks and stuff like that. I think this could work really well. So what do I actually get from this? Right, in the opening, the lemon is really kind of full on. So when I first spray this, I think, oh, that's quite nice, it's quite fresh. But then the lemon kind of, if I'm honest, gets almost a bit too much. It becomes a bit like borderline overpowering, because the lemon's definitely there, and as I say, when you first spray it, it's sort of quite fresh and you think, oh, this is quite nice. But then the lemon sort of hangs around for a bit and it's quite strong, and then it's like, it starts coming across as a bit too much and almost a bit synthetic. So I'm like, so if you get this, definitely wait, because it gets better on the dry down once you get kind of past that sort of lemony opening. As it then starts going into the sort of mids, when the apricot comes through, it gives it kind of like this fruity, peachy feel. And with the iris, etc., it starts getting a little bit more powdery. So this has been on my hand for how long for now? I don't know, like 30, 40 minutes, and it's really pleasant now. So you get past that lemony opening that, as I say, is a bit synthetic and all borderline harsh, and then it just starts settling down. And you're left with this sort of apricot, which comes across as kind of like a peachy apricot fruitiness. It's a bit powdery, you get a hint of the amber, the iris kind of adds just a little bit of a powdery feel to it, and then you start getting the hint of the vanilla. The oud is there, I mean, it's not strong. I'm not an oud connoisseur, so don't kind of ask me, but it's definitely not barnyardy. It's not too strong, it just gives it, seems to be like a little bit of depth and a bit of oomph to it, but it's definitely not any sort of skanky barnyardy kind of oud. It's definitely more of a sort of pleasant kind of woody kind of oud. And you're just left with this really clean, once it gets really quite powdery, then that settles down a bit. So once it settles, the powderiness remains but dies down and kind of subsides a little bit. So then it just becomes really well balanced, the sort of fruity, peachy apricot. There's no peach, but as I say, the apricot is kind of like this peachy fruitiness with powdery vanilla. So it just comes across as kind of really fruity, powdery and clean. And it's really nice, really, really nice. But what I will say is this style of fragrance, I don't think you'll hate it, but I think it could potentially be a bit divisive. I think there's going to be people out there that might try this. So I probably urge you to get a smaller size initially just to try it, because I think there's going to be people out there that smell this and fucking love it. I think this is easily a fragrance that you could love, but I think some people might just kind of not get it because it's a bit different, and I just think you go, it's maybe not for me. But the fact that there's a chance that this could smell really good and you could fucking love this, I think it's worth a punt for the money. Talking of price, the price on this one varies depending on the size. So obviously the smaller size bottles are obviously less of a risk, but you do pay more per mil. So like the 5ml is about a tenner, the 10ml is about 20 quid, the 30ml is sort of £34, so you're getting then to the sort of £1 per mil kind of size, and you can get the 50ml for like 45 quid. So yeah, it's not like cheap, but it's not expensive. As I say, you might want to get a smaller one initially just to try it. This size, whatever it is sort of quite a good size. But what I can say is I can offer you a discount code. Now, before you kind of start going, oh, you're shilling or whatever, I've had this discount code for fucking a couple of years, and I don't think I've ever actually mentioned it in a video. It's been in the video descriptions. I've never mentioned it. People stumbled across it or whatever. So I think this is the first time I've ever mentioned it. So you can get 10% off if you use the code FRAG to Riches. So it's a shout out to what my YouTube channel used to be called, because that's how long I've had this discount code and never promoted it. So yeah, but it's FRAG to Riches, not Frags to Riches. I'll put it on the screen, and that'll give you 10% off. Now, initially that code was 10% off your first purchase, but I did check, before I did this video, I thought I'd check, because that code is so old, I thought I better just check it's still active, to be honest, because a lot of the codes that were in my video descriptions weren't, and I just left them in there. But the guys, I checked, and Rosa Salas, the guys have said, yeah, it's still active, and what they've done is they've set it for the next couple of months that it's not even your first purchase. So if you've used it before, you can come back and use it again, or in the next couple of months, you can use that code a few times. So you could probably order it with 10% as a smaller size. If you like it, order another one, a bigger one with a 10% code again. So yeah, if you use the code FRAG to Riches, you'll get 10% off. So yeah, go and give it a go. That's it. Thanks for watching. Do really appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that shit. You guys know the score by now. Everybody says the same thing at the end of the video. So yeah, if you could like and subscribe, that'd be really cool. I'm trying to hit 5,000 subs before the end of the year. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and take care. Much love.